gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 22nd, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, that Lego racing game is confirmed. A voice actor spills the web fluid on Spider-Man 2's release date, and Ubisoft has machines writing its games. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Mike Minotti from GamesBeat. Mike, how are you doing?
Happy birthday, Jeff!
Oh, no. We can't hear that.
Damn it!
I can fix it. Hang on. All right, now.
Starts playing louder as if that was going to help.
All right, go, do it now. Do it now. There you go. Go.
Well, perfect. No
it's
mistakes
exactly what I wanted for my 40th birthday. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm 40. It's weird. That's weird.
Yeah,
That's a big round number.
You did it.
Yeah.
It's a big number. Yeah. I think that means you're gonna die soon.
I think that's exactly what it means. Frankly, I'm ready for it. Like, yeah, that's what you do. That's what they don't tell you. At 40, you immediately, like, you see death right waiting for you, and you just got to get ready for it.
Like that character from Pentiment who's just digging her own grave.
Exactly. Yes. I'm going to celebrate by eating cake, Mike. That's my big plan. I don't need anything else. I have too much stuff as it is, so no more stuff. Just going to eat cake. That's the way to do it.
I'm not gonna say I don't like cake, but I'm not a big cake guy. I don't have a sweet tooth though, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just. I'll tell you what, like the cake part's fine. I hate frosting. It's just like, what is that? It's kind of weird. I don't like it.
It's just sweet sugar stuff. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't know. There's something about it that upsets me.
I'm not gonna. On my birthday, my gift to myself is not giving you a hard time about your food takes. You know what? It's fine to not like frosting. A lot of people like hurts their teeth. It's so sweet. So that's just fine.
Yeah.
You just don't like the flavor.
I don't think I like anything about frosting.
All right.
I don't think there's one redeeming quality of it to me. It's too much of everything. It's too much texture. It's too much sweetness. It's just weird. And people put so much of it on this stuff too. For something that is like pure sugar, you think a nice thin layer would be enough, like a glaze. And
no, but like frosting, it's like thick. You're supposed to like literally like cake it on like to the cake, like what you're supposed to do. Gross. So yeah.
Then you get like the children, like here's your cake, and they don't want to eat the cake part, so they're just licking frosting off of it.
Yes.
They're like, my tummy hurts.
Wow, it's basically what happens in my house every time we have a cake. So yeah, good. Well done. All right, let's get into this mess. But before we do, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you're watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Lego and 2K will officially reveal a new driving game this week. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Lego and 2K will officially reveal that new driving game on March 23rd. That's tomorrow. Following a series of leaks, the plan was confirmed with a teaser posted on Lego's Twitter account on Monday, which is viewable right here. I'm going to bring that up here in a second. Last year, VGC, which again, this is where the story comes from, reported that 2K had signed a new multi-game partnership with Lego. This is the first one of those. The line will also apparently include a football/soccer game, and that's going to be developed by Sumo Digital. There's also a third game based on major sports in the works. So this is a part of a strategy that 2K had of, hey, we want to expand the presence of our sports games. What should we do? Let's go after kids. And to get after kids, let's get the Lego license, and that's going to help there. So, is this exciting to you, Mike? The idea that like more like kind of arcadey sports games and driving games from 2K featuring the Lego license?
In the racing realm, yeah, we don't have enough arcade racers, and that could be pretty fun as long as they have fun with it And don't the Lego games sometimes are a lot of fun, and sometimes they veer on being a little too simple and kind of like having a lot of charm and not much else. But I think they could do a racing game pretty well. In terms of like a Lego soccer game, I don't know that one. I guess we'll see a bit because again, that one I really get worried about how simple is it going to be.
Right. There's that's sort of that balance of you want to make the game super accessible, but also you don't want it to be mind numbing. And I think a lot of arcade soccer games have nailed that. But then those also like Super Mario Strikers, I think is probably fun for kids, but there's a lot of depth there. And even that old Sega one that was on like the
Sega
game
Soccer Slam.
yeah,
Yes,
a great game.
fan.
Yes, that's
Ooh, I love that game.
that's also like there's a lot going on in that game. So is it going to be like that? Probably not. If the audience is going after the children to monetize them.
Finally, someone's going after them. They must be stopped.
Yes, someone's going to catch them, and it's what's the name?
Maybe Lego.
I was going to say Blaze.
It's a long con.
Blaze Zerga, I was going to say, but that's the old editor at that we had at VentureBeat. What's the guy that runs 2K or Take Two? I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm still shaking that you made me think about Blaze for the first time. Like shout outs to Blaze.
Yeah, shout outs Blaze. Yeah, I'll check this out, of course. I like arcade racers. It's the time of the arcade racer finally, once again. And hey, yeah, give me yet another one of those. Apparently, like we've said, it's like a kart racer. The kart does transform on the track. And when I've read it, it's like people are like, oh, it's like Mario Kart 8, where it transforms into a hover car. But you pointed out that's basically a lot like Sega and All-Stars Racing transform.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing transform. Welcome to my hell.
Yes, exactly.
Saying that name right every time.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's also a game that people really like, and that has like a lot of likes, and also very popular with kids.
Oh yeah, it's great. So yeah, I think those. I mean, look, those are the two you would go to copy, I guess. So go for it.
Didn't Sumo Digital develop that Sonic racing game though? That's the weird thing, right? Didn't they? Wasn't that
Yeah,
Sumo?
I think so. They did all of those. They did. Yeah, they even did that newer, not as good Sonic Team Racing. Yeah. So.
Well, it's weird. It's because they're doing the soccer game in Visual Concepts, the like the sports, the one that does 2K, NBA and stuff like that. They're doing the racing game, so it's okay.
Yeah,
well,
maybe they just got mixed up with their assignments and like no one talked to each other, so they just kind of went with it.
Yeah, that's almost certainly that's probably how big business works. It's just someone like two secretaries ran into each other and the papers went flying, and then they picked up the wrong one, and now the wrong team's working on the wrong game. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Sumo Digital also did like Sega Superstars Tennis, Virtual Tennis 2009. So they've done like those kind of sports games, but something.
Yes, Slay McAwesome. Then they fall in love. That's right. That's just business. Yeah, I'm ready to see this, and we're gonna see it tomorrow. So I'm excited.
All right.
PlayStation Spider-Man 2 will release in September, an actor claims. This comes from Andy Robinson of VGC. Let's see here. PlayStation Spider-Man sequel is currently aiming to release in September, according to Tony Todd, who plays Venom in the Insomniac-developed sequel, who seemingly broke protocol on Tuesday by telling a fan that Spider-Man 2's release month, quote, looks like September. This is the same release window publishing sources had recently told VGC to expect the game. Here's the quote. Looks like September, massive publicity coming in August, commercials start dropping in August, so I'm told. Hold on to your, and then there's ellipses and hold your breath. So I'm assuming either he said ass or he was like afraid to say ass, or VGC bleeped it out, I guess.
Maybe he said hold on to your symbiote and they're too embarrassed to publish it.
Yes, hold on to your Peter Parker, if you know what I mean. He says it's going to be necessary, which I think might be cool person talk. It's
necessary.
It's going to be necessary. I remember when I was young and my brother's like, that's crucial. And I'm
about to say, is that like the new Crucial? Now it's necessary.
Okay, I'm glad the Crucial like was out there.
That's a thing.
Okay, it was a thing. That. Yes. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not the meaning of the word crucial. Me pushing my glasses up my nose. Yeah. So September for this game. That's sooner than I guess I would have expected. But we had been hearing that time frame here now. VGC was not the only people out there like reporting that. That's like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 2 in September. And now one of the actors is saying that. And maybe the actor's like repeating headlines they're reading on their Feedly or whatever, their RSS feeds. Like, oh, I saw that on VGC too. But also it's probably just like that's what their agent told them, because that's how voice actors are. They're just like, they go out there and say the stuff when they're not supposed to, and they don't know.
They just don't know. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, you buy this, and is that exciting to you?
I mean, I always assumed it was coming out this fall, so that's not shocking. I guess it's earlier in fall than I would have guessed. Everybody in chat was very excited about this man being Venom, Tony Todd. I didn't know it was, and I just looked him up, and he's like a voice of Vortigons in some Half-Life games,
Oh,
and
right. Is this
he's
Candyman?
this is Candyman. He's also been a Klingon in some Star Trek stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm into it now. Yeah, He's Kern. Oh, he also played adult Jake Sisko in The Visitor of Deep Space Nine. Oh, that's exciting. So yeah, that's good. Isn't Starfield also September? Are they really going like head to head with their big exclusives that month?
Yes. That's
Wow.
that's one thing where it's like, even as we were here in September for Spider-Man 2, it's like they'll probably move it out of the way of Starfield, but I mean, Starfield is early September. This could come out late September, and that wouldn't be too much of a problem. Yeah, Axel points out this is where I remember Tony Todd from The Rock. He is the Rocket Man from The Rock. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yes, The Crow. Yeah, he's also in The Crow. Man, this guy's
I mean, I know
got
people.
rules.
I know Starfield's a big deal. I don't know if Spider-Man 2 needs to move out of the way of anything.
Yeah,
unless it was like Grand Theft Auto 6.
I mean, Spider-Man's best-selling PlayStation series now ever, right? Just period. Like nothing's bigger than Spider-Man for PlayStation. Yeah, I think you're right. Like they probably wouldn't have to move, which is why like, people were saying that. I wasn't exactly sure why, but I mean, if you are trying to have a time frame to yourself and you're like, well, we can move out of the way. We haven't announced the date yet. I suppose coming out, like moving around so it's not like the same exact day. That's fine. I guess that makes some sense. But this game definitely doesn't need to move. It's going to be huge. It's going to sell a ton. This is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, right? It's not PlayStation 4.
I think so. I mean, it better be, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I think this is going to be like their big push for the PlayStation 5 as like now we are really in this generation and you can go out and get a PlayStation 5 now. So yeah, and this game could easily carry them through the holidays. Although I'm sure by then we'll know like what's coming up after that beyond Wolverine. They'll almost certainly have had a showcase by then. So yeah, we'll kind of, it'll be exciting. It'll be a big game, but yeah. Do you still think Wolverine from Insomniac could come next year?
It sounds that sounds like a lot. If it was any other studio, I would laugh at the idea. But since it's Insomniac and for some reason their output is just ridiculous, I guess maybe that still seems incredibly ambitious.
Yeah, it's a lot for one studio. Even if that studio certainly does have multiple teams, it still seems like a lot. And especially for big games like this, they have to be really polished. You probably want to bring the whole team in there to polish that stuff. And maybe that's what the next year is for Wolverine. That just seems so aggressive. That's going on us like being used to hearing about games for 5-6 years now before they come out. And Wolverine will be like, well, we've heard about that for a couple of years. Give it like 3 or 4 more. But no, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for that.
We are like running low on even like the PlayStation exclusives that we like have heard officially announced.
Yeah.
It's like Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, and then there's got to be something else. But that's like, man, it's definitely.
Well, I mean, there's Final Fantasy 16, right? That's the
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like first party though.
No, sure. We haven't heard about anything else though. I think that's at least officially. And that's
should
why.
Make it for a fun time this summer. You imagine some things are getting announced.
Yes, exactly. I think that showcase does still happen before E3. Yeah, I think they probably have like Spider-Man 2 stuff probably will be at that showcase. Although, according to Tony Todd, it all starts in August, so we'll see.
Hold on to your dots.
Hold on to your dots. Get that ellipses out and swing it around like a helicopter blade. All right. Crash Team Rumble launches on June 20th. This comes from Mike Minotti at GamesBeat. Activision Blizzard.
That's cool. He goes to sex stores.
So sounds like a real nerd. Activision Blizzard and developer Toys for Bob announced today that Crash Team Rumble is launching on June 20th for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One. Crash Team Rumble is a competitive 4v4 online game that has players controlling characters from the Crash Bandicoot series. Toys for Bob made 2020's Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, and Crash Team Rumble has a similar look. Gameplay, however, is a vastly different kind of experience. Players fight to collect and stash Wampa fruit scattered around the game's maps. You can also jump on gym pads to add multipliers to your score or use relic keys to unlock special abilities, like an Uka Uka mask that will, man, that sounded racist when I say it like that. Uka Uka mask that will rain fire down on other teams. But don't think of it as a MOBA. It's more of a competitive 3D platformer with a few combat mechanics. Okay, Mike. So it's not a MOBA. Is there any other comparison you can give it to me? Like any other game? Is it like was that dodgeball game that was like is it like that?
Yeah, Rumble.
Well, no,
that was
close.
the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Knockout City. Yeah, no, it's not like Knockout City. No, I don't know. Not really. I think you just kind of have to think of it as its own thing. I mean, look, there's a little bit of MOBA energy there, especially like characters running around. They have those health bars below them that look very MOBA-y. But it was like one of the things that, like, it was like an online preview that I attended, and they were clear right away, like, no, this is not a MOBA, but it's, and they admitted they can't really define it in a neat way. But like, when you're playing Crash Bandicoot, it looks like he's going to control like Crash Bandicoot did, right? So that's why it's almost like a 3D a competitive 3D platformer. But like, you're running around, you're collecting Wampa fruit, and then you're trying to get it back to your goal so you can bank them is the key mechanic here. And like, you fight people, and each character has sort of different moves, but it's not like you have a bunch of cooldown abilities like a MOBA, right? Like Crash Bandicoot is going to spin to attack and things like that. So
it sounds like that Halo mode with the skulls, where you go out and get the skulls and bring them back to your base, and but you play as Crash.
Well, that mode was you're conflating the skull mode with the one where there's the little batteries that you.
The batteries, eggs. With Splatoon, there's a Splatoon mode like that has eggs, right? I'm like, there's a lot of games that have stuff like this or whatever, but
there's like games where you collect things and bring them back, sure. So there's other things like that, but usually in a first-person shooter or what have you.
No, thanks for humoring me, Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah,
you're welcome. It's your birthday. I'm not going to be mean to you.
Yeah, thanks. One day a year. Crash Team Rumble will support crossplay across its various platforms. A beta will take place from April 20th to April 24th. You gain access to the beta, which tragically is not called a crash test. Well done, Mike.
I asked them, why isn't it called a crash test? And then they offered me a job.
You can access that by pre-ordering the full game. I don't know. I'll check it out. I think controlling Crash actually always fine, always fun. I just for the early games, it was the presentation of like with the angle you're moving at, and anytime you're running at the camera, I'm an old man, I'm going to complain.
Oh my god!
But Crash 4 was a good game, just straight up a good game.
Crash 4 rules. Crash 4 is great.
They just figured it all out, just straight up a good game.
Not that this is like an asset flip, but this is clearly a smart way of kind of taking a lot of those character models and some other games and turning it into this, other game that is going to be this online game. It's going to have battle passes and things like that. It makes some sense, and I'm glad that Toys for Bob is getting to make this.
Yes,
it's not like Crash 5 or something, but I was worried that they would never do anything but be a Call of Duty support studio. So it's good that they are getting to make Toys for Bob games again, even if it's not it's not like as something as ambitious as Crash 4, but
right.
Maybe it can lead to that.
I mean, you can almost hear the internal pitch, right, of Bobby Kotick like screaming, "I want more Call of Duty!" And they're like, well, "What if we just took some of the assets of Crash 4 and made a small little multiplayer game? Can we do that, please?"
Multiplayer battle pass, cheap.
Yeah, you could make it for $5.
Make it for $5.
I guess we could try, Mr. Kotick. So
I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna give it a look-see, a little shake, and we'll see what happens. Arkane is looking into removing Redfall's always online single-player requirement. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Redfall developer Arkane is, quote, looking into removing the requirement for solo players to always be connected online. An official FAQ for the game published last month revealed that while players will be able to play Redfall solo without an Xbox Gold subscription, they still will need to be online to do so. Under the question, will playing Redfall require an online connection for single player as well as co-op? The FAQ states a persistent online connection is required for single player and co-op. Now the game's director Harvey Smith has told Eurogamer that the team is looking for a solution to remove this requirement. Referring to players' request to play offline, Smith explained, there are two ways developers could react to that, right? And he said, react to that complaint. They could say, oh my God, you're always online anyhow. If you get on your Steam and it's not online, you freak out. If you get on your Xbox and you get that latest patch or see what your friends are doing, you freak out. You want to be always online. But that response, I think, lacks empathy. There are people who live in places where there are outages or their broadband is shitty or they're competing with their family members because their mom's streaming a movie or their brother's on another device. And so I think it's a legitimate critique. We do take it with a lot of empathy. We listen, and we have already stated or started working to address this in the future. We have to do some things like encrypt your save games and do a bunch of UI work to support it. And so we are looking into it. I'm not supposed to promise anything, but we're looking into it and working actively towards fixing that in the future. He said he did explain like why this is in the game, and it's telemetry. It's basically just, hey, it allows us to do some accessibility stuff. It allows us for telemetry. It's everybody's falling off ladders and dying. Oh, if everybody's falling off ladders and dying, holy shit, and that shows up. And so we go in and we tweak the ladder code. There are reasons we set out to do that that are not insidious. They basically just, we want this data to make the game better, which is, developers, they've been tracking your data anyhow. It's what should probably just happen is if you are online, that data gets sent over. And if you're not, then you're not, right? It's like requiring the online connection is not necessary for that telemetry. You're going to be able to get enough data because, like he says, everyone's already online anyhow. So hopefully they're able to figure this out. I'll say that, hey, we have a preview up for this game up on the site that just went live this morning. I sat down with Dan and Mr. Jeff Bacalar, and they both traveled to an event in New York where they got hands-on with the game. They played for about 90 minutes. I'll say that Dan's pretty cool on it. Jeff seems to be a little bit more into it, but both are like still in wait-and-see mode. And that just might be their perspective. So I've seen some other previews, much more glowing, much more positive. So VGC Impact said it's like, this could be their best shooter ever from Arkane, and we're like actually floored by the stuff. So I'm personally like, I'm seeing the footage and talking to them. I'm also like, I just need to play this game to see for myself because it looks like it could have a lot of I bet it's gonna be a lot of fun with multiplayer. Whether or not it's fun single player will come down to, can I get into like sort of distractions where I'm going to do one thing, I get distracted, I go off to, I'm like, I see a cool little thing in this open world, I'm gonna go take that on, and something magical and emergent happened, which is like, I would expect that from an Arkane game a little bit. And it's like, it's hard to tell if that's going to actually be in the final product or not.
Yeah, I'm interested to watch that video later because I've been kind of skeptical about this one.
Yes.
So,
and you're not alone. Yeah.
So I want to see what's up. So that's all fine what they said about the always online thing. It is a little surprising that it seems like they were caught off guard that there's a negative reaction to it. Although I guess it's been long enough now since the last time people were really mad about a game being always online or requiring that. Maybe everyone thought that like enough time's passed, we can get away with it now. Because this is having that problem, and now Suicide Squad too, and people are wondering if Suicide Squad's going to fix it. If it gets that delay we all think it's going to get. But yeah, I don't know. If they want to get rid of it, I guess that's good. It seems like a hard ask to ask now, as there's probably a million other things they need to get to before this game launches.
My big thing with Redfall is not the always online stuff, but it's obviously that I'm always online, I'm fine, whatever. And my Xbox always plugged in, my PC's always plugged in. I suppose it would be frustrating with the Steam Deck if I tried to go play that and it wasn't connected somewhere and it wouldn't work. That would suck. But that's not my real issue. My issue is that when you do play multiplayer, the work that you do in the game only counts if people come to play with you. If you go to play with your friends, it's not going to count any of that stuff towards your the game that you're playing. So if you want to go back to your game and play solo, well, now you got to go do all that stuff over again. And that is something that other developers have solved by now. I think if you're making a game like this, you need to go into it knowing that that is a problem that you need to check off first. It needs to be one of the first things you have a solution for. That is not just, well, your progress doesn't count. Like, that's not good enough anymore. So I would really hope that would be the thing they fix. It does not seem like that's going to happen. It doesn't seem like they're going to have a solution for that, but especially by the time this game ships, obviously. But like down the line, it's like, that's going to be too late. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other kind of worry with like the game being always online is it maybe puts a bit more of an expiration date on it, right? We're seeing it with those Battlefield games. You take those servers down, there they go. But it's like, clearly I'm okay with it if the game's good enough. The Hitman games are pretty much always online.
Yes.
And it's kind of annoying sometimes, but I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's fine. I mean, look, I am generally always online myself these days, but it is still kind of a weird requirement for a game to do.
Yeah, it's Hitman, like you technically can play it offline, but it's like it really feels broken, and
Yeah, the game doesn't like it when you
yeah,
do that.
and the progress that you have in Hitman is like it's like, well, we're not going to count, like, this is not going to count towards any of your unlocks. And it's like, oh man, why am I even playing? Like, it's a big thing I'm actually want to be working towards. I'm doing all this cool stuff. I want to get the stuff the rewards for it. But yeah, it's a weird one, but yes, it really doesn't like it. All right. Microsoft says 10 years is plenty of time for Sony to make its own Call of Duty. This comes from Ethan Gach at Kotaku. As regulators approach their deadline to approve or reject Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, those for and against the mega merger are filing every last argument they can think of to try and sway the outcome. My favorite one yet involves Microsoft telling Sony to quit whining already and just get started making its own Call of Duty competitor. Ethan says that, okay, that's not exactly what Microsoft said, but it was certainly the spirit of one small excerpt from the company's latest testimony that the UK's Competition and Markets Authority made public on Tuesday. As spotted by VGC, Microsoft argued in a supplemental response that its 10-year proposal to keep Call of Duty available on PlayStation 5 and future Sony consoles is plenty of time and wouldn't leave the hardware manufacturer on a cliff edge once it expires. Why not? Because Sony can use that time to make its own version of the best-selling military shooter. Here's what Microsoft wrote. Microsoft considers that period of 10 years, that a period of 10 years is sufficient for Sony as a leading publisher and console platform to develop alternatives to Call of Duty. The 10-year term will extend into the next console generation. Moreover, the practical effect of the remedy will go beyond the 10-year period, since games downloaded in the final years of the remedy can continue to be played for the lifetime of that console and beyond with backwards compatibility. Now, I think there's two things here, Mike. One is like, Microsoft's pretty, I think, I don't know, it's a bad idea to talk about, oh, that 10-year deal is going to be over, and then we actually are going to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be saying that.
Even to suggest it, it's like a bad move. But if they feel like, if this, let's just say like this is taken out of context, and this is in the caveat, it's like, even in that fantastical world where we took Call of Duty away, maybe that's how they're framing it. I didn't see for myself. But if that is how they're framing it, it's still, I think Sony can pretty accurately say, no, we can't. Like, we look at kill zones. We did those for more than 10 years, and no, we can't. It's actually pretty hard to make something like Call of Duty. And 10 years would be like, I think it's like the minimum if you put all your efforts into it to get one out that like could even get close. And I don't think that is a likely scenario.
What does that mean? Like, yeah, Sony could make a military shooter, I guess, but it's not gonna suddenly be a Call of Duty size hit. A Call of Duty at this point, it's not just about the quality of those games. It's this cachet of, that the series has built up over decades now and this loyal fan base. Yeah, that's ridiculous. They can't just go and make their own with hooker and beer or whatever Bender says. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
They had shooter franchises before. They had Resistance. They have Killzone. They don't even bother making those anymore.
Yep. I think it's at this point pretty clear that, yeah, it takes multiple entries that are consistently great, and that's hard to do because otherwise it's like one of those games doesn't hit right. People are like, well, I'm moving on from that. I'm just going to go back to Call of Duty. And Call of Duty being there is this big distraction for any other game in the shooter space. And it's like that's been the life of, like, sort of arc of all these other games. Medal of Honor. It's like we're going to put out one of those. This isn't nearly as good as Call of Duty. Just going to go back to Call of Duty.
Yeah.
We get two of those. The first one like actually makes a pretty big splash because they put a lot of marketing into it. They just fart out the second one and move on. And now there's no more Medal of Honors. Battlefield has had some famous missteps. And now it's like, what is the future of Battlefield? Can they even make that make sense for them anymore? And so, well, actually, very good question. It doesn't seem as viable as it once did. They're going to keep trying it, obviously, but they're reworking everything. They're shuffling around management to figure out what the future Battlefield is, and that's Battlefield. I think this is a tough argument to make, even though it's like on paper, 10 years is a long time. You could do anything in 10 years. I think this feels very much like an argument from the lawyers and not from Microsoft itself.
Just yesterday, we were talking about, remember that time when everybody was trying to make their League of Legends killer, right?
Yep.
Everyone spent all this money making their Lord of the Rings MOBA and their DC MOBA. it turns out no, everyone's just gonna play League of Legends and Dota 2, and like that's still where we are all these years later. Like we're past that era of the blank killer. There are no killers. They're just those games that kind of get there first and become big. I mean, everyone's kind of learning that now about Destiny and making their own kind of looter shooter games or just
Yep.
loot games, even like that. It's just kind of the way things are right now. It's hard. You never say everything's forever. Someday you imagine there's going to be something to take over the crown of Call of Duty, but it's going to be a long time. It's going to take some luck, and you certainly can't just do it with wishes and good luck.
Yes, I mean, what happened? I mean, the Call of Duty's been not supplanted, but there's something else. I mean, it's Fortnite stands alongside it at least, or even stands above it in some ways. But it's like it had to be a completely different thing, come from a different angle, and target a different audience, and sort of had to happen naturally to a certain extent, and that's difficult. You can't just tell Sony to do it, like you said. Nature B in Twitch chat says, this is the way legal briefs work. You make any number of arguments at once. And I think it's traditionally like that, absolutely true. It's just in this one, the regulators have been very quick to pick apart and use the things that Microsoft says against it. And so I think if you're going to say something like this, it's like, well, in this one part of your brief, you say that here's what Sony could do when you take Call of Duty away. So are you going to take Call of Duty away eventually? And say, well, no, we're not going to do that. So, well, then why are we talking about this other hypothetical? That's happened in this case in recent weeks. So it's like, I think Microsoft's taking a risk here of sort of even like humoring this notion. All right, moving on. Judge dismisses gamers' claims that Microsoft and Activision merger will spoil gaming. This comes from Ashley Belanger at Ars Technica. Last December, Call of Duty gamers sued Microsoft seeking to block its merger with Activision, probably because they alleged that the merger would set up Microsoft to dominate industry rivals, drive up prices, and reduce consumer choice. Yesterday, a California judge, Jacqueline Corley, granted Microsoft's motion to dismiss the case, saying that the gamers didn't plausibly allege that the merger creates a reasonable probability of anti-competitive effects in any relevant market. Gamers suing don't plan to give up the fight that easily, though. They have 20 days to amend their complaint to include more evidence that demonstrates these anti-competitive effects and the likely harm that they are to cause. The gamers' lawyer Joseph Aliotto said,
Every time you say gamer, the gamer's lawyer.
I know, exactly. It's like the gamer's lawyer. I thought, oh man, it's our lawyer, Mike. They're out there doing the work.
That sounds like a bad Peacock show we're gonna get in 5 years.
Yes, it sounds like one of those Tom Cruise movies from the 90s about that law firm or whatever. The firm, the gamer's lawyer. Joseph Aliotto, who is the gamer's lawyer, told Ars that they believe that they have ample evidence to satisfy the judge in this case, and that they will be amending the complaint so that they can carry the case forward. Hey, go for it. You know, that's why if you got the money and the time and you want to hire a lawyer to sue video games, I say go for it. I think that they're going to keep kind of running up to stuff like this where the judges and when they come up to, like, they bring their case, it's going to be pretty difficult to be like, hey, we have a ground to stand on here, but hey, go for it. We'll see if this actually brings any fruit for them.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but hey, who am I to say? Like, I'm no judge, I'm no lawyer, and I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, so go to town. Microsoft reveals developer acceleration program for ID at Xbox. This comes from Rachel Kaiser at GamesBeat. Microsoft announced today it is launching a new program for its ID at Xbox publishing initiative. The developer acceleration program makes it easier for indie game creators to publish on Xbox. More specifically, the company hopes to bring more underrepresented creators to the platform using this program. It's currently open for interested developers to apply by contacting Microsoft. The acceleration program focuses on 3 areas to help developers get their games on Xbox: porting, so creators can release their games on multiple platforms easily; information in the form of webinars about various release-related subjects; and prototypes, offering funding and support for small developers with interesting ideas to create prototypes. According to Microsoft, the underrepresented creators it intends to help include developers who are led by those from Black, Indigenous, Latino, or LGBTQIA+ communities, women, developers with disabilities, developers from emerging markets, or teams with unique perspectives. This also includes independent developers working on a game that responsibly centers the experience around diverse characters, characters or that prioritizes accessibility. Microsoft also celebrated ID Xbox at the Games Developer Conference, which is happening this week, everybody, saying that in 10 years it's existed, that it's given out over $4 billion in payments to developers for more than 3,000 games. The company also added demos for 12 ID at Xbox titles to Microsoft Store to celebrate the anniversary. Hey, I love indie games. It always feels like they are at threat of becoming an afterthought for all these companies, and you have to like put effort into cultivating that indie game community. And Microsoft, honestly, out of all three of the major console manufacturers, seems to be the one putting the most effort into it, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah, no, this is only a good thing. I wish I had something more insightful to say, but yeah, do that.
Yeah, it's it is kind of like we've heard complaints about Sony's like a system of like, okay, even trying to get your game noticed on PlayStation could be very troubling. It's very difficult to actually make that happen, especially if you don't want to spend $10,000 like just to get a blog post or something. But it's not like, okay, that means all games are just succeeding straight up on Xbox. It seems like a handful of indie games were doing better on Xbox. It seems like other kinds just completely flounder like any other platform, or sometimes way worse. I know that like the Shovel Knight series was one that always sold very, very poorly on Xbox. So
man, they even had the Battletoads in there, I think, or something.
I think stuff like that is actually, that did help a little bit eventually, but it's like that early Shovel Knight game. It's like, oh no, this sold way worse on Xbox than any other platform. But it's like, hey, they still see value in contributing resources to this, and I'm down. I think this could be very cool. Ubisoft proudly announces AI is helping to write dialogue. This comes from Luke Plunkett at Kotaku. Ubisoft, the publishers behind Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Ghost Recon, tonight announced that an AI tool is currently helping its developers write dialogue for some of its games. The tool, called Ghostwriter, is described as and here's how they introduce it. Ubisoft Ghostwriter is an AI tool developed in-house that aims to support our script writers by generating the first draft of our NPC barks, the phrases or sounds that made by NPCs when players interact with the game world. This tool was created hand in hand with scriptwriters to create more realistic NPC interactions by generating variations on a piece of dialogue. And then they have a sort of example of how this works. This, Mike, I think this is the kind of thing that I can see why it might be scary to people, because this is something that would just straight up be done by a human before. But also, I think this is inevitable. It's coming. We have to just reckon with it, right?
Yeah, I find this so confusing. I've seen some people, including Ubisoft, come out in defense of this, being like, no, like, writers are involved in this process.
Right. They're saying first draft is done by the AI. Yes.
Okay, and look, I'm not a writer. Obviously, well, I'm a writer. I'm not a video game dialogue writer. Is that hard to like write the NPC barks, like the little incidentals that they say? Like, is that really like
I don't think it's
people
hard.
are sitting there and like, what, do they say hi? Do they say hello? It just seems bizarre to me that we need the AI to come in and help us here.
I think it's I don't think it's hard, but I think it is almost certainly demonstrably harder, even if it's like it's only a 1 on a scale of 10 on how difficult it is. It's like still harder to do that than to write, hey, AI, write me 500 variations on these lines, and the AI will do that in 30 seconds. And it's like, and then now then you just drag and drop those into the Excel spreadsheet. And I mean,
someone has to check them. Like
someone's supposed to. And they're not saying that there's not still someone checking them. It's just like there's like this is how AI is going to get implemented in a lot of ways like this very quickly. And we say AI, it's machine learning. I know there's a difference. I'm always going to conflate the two, but that's me. But this is how it's going to get implemented. It's going to be on the fringes at first, and it's going to be like to create a lot of content quickly, and then a human's still going to have to come in there into that process. But it's like, well, it's easier to start from a lot of content that's already right in front of you, and now you're just editing as opposed to like starting with a blank page. Like that is a slight hump, and it's like, well, does that speed things up? It probably does, but if it's like this, I don't think this is like we are eliminating a lot of jobs. It is like we have the capacity to make our games even bigger. So all the people that were writing all these barks before, instead of like taking the time doing that, what they could do is now they can write barks that are individualized or more complicated for a larger variety of characters, so our worlds feel more alive. That is like the positive, optimistic outlook of how these things can play out. And it's like, well, yeah, I think I'm hopeful that goes down, and that's how Ubisoft says they're basically going to do things. But also, there's the very real likelihood of, well, what if we just had the AI do all of it, and we did like get rid of some people so we could save some money? Like, that's going to happen too. But I think that's going to lead to worse games.
Yes, I think it's definitely going to lead to worse games. I think this could lead to worse writing. Look, like you're right. You said before, this AI stuff is coming. It's coming fast. It feels like we have a little choice but to sort of watch it play out and see what happens. But it's all very concerning. It's all very worrisome. I don't know. Maybe I'll just try to enjoy it. Maybe I'll get really excited about doing the first AI written sex scene in a video game. See how that
Well,
goes.
that of course that goes that saying.
But maybe within 2 years we'll get to that.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
It definitely will be. There's going to be a squeeze here, and the reason it is so scary is because we know that even if it like things get figured out in the end, when electricity gets invented, when the Industrial Revolution happens, like there's a lot of pain for the people living through that, and we get to all live through that, just like we've lived through every other calamity over the last 25 years. Well, here's another one that we have to deal with somehow. So good luck to all of us. It's kind of how it feels, and it's like, well, what do we do about it? No one knows, and it's like, well, can we look to the past of like how these things normally go? Oh, they go basically the worst they can go because that's how capitalism works. It just cuts right to the bone as quickly as it can and leaves everything else behind. And that's what we're going to have to live through. So great. Super Evil Megacorp expands team for upcoming Netflix title. This comes from Jeffrey Rousseau at gamesindustry.biz. Catalyst Black developer Super Evil Megacorp has expanded its staff following the news of its partnership with Netflix. As reported by mobilegamer.biz, the studio's new additions and promotions include alum from firms such as Blizzard, Ubisoft, and Rockstar. Mike, I mostly brought up the story just to be like, every time Netflix gets mentioned in terms of its relations to games, it's like, oh, they continue to kind of make just like smart choices. It's like instead of buying a studio, they're partnering with Super Evil Megacorp, and they're going to help them expand and make even more stuff for Netflix. They're not going ham. They're not going, buck wild with like spending billions of dollars.
Yeah, they're just buying like Ubisoft or something.
Right. Yeah. They're buying smaller studios here and there. They keep putting interesting games on Netflix. Every time like that one game where it's like In Your Eyes or something or whatever it was, where it's like you blink and the scene changes. That was part of PSVR 2.
Yeah,
that's just on Netflix games along with a bunch of other cool stuff. Into the Breach is still on there. So it's like this feels like them continuing to make the right decisions. Like, let's just help a cool, interesting young team grow in the right direction. How do you feel about Netflix's strategy overall?
No, like it seems smart. I think you're right. Good thing to like kind of slowly wade your way into those waters, make smaller investments, partner up with some of these smaller developers like a Super Evil Megacorp, and have people that can sort of work on games that make sense for them. Now, I mean, there's a part of me, it's like, okay, this sounds all good on paper. I'm still not checking out a lot of like Netflix games. I don't know how many people are, but hopefully there's growth there and they're finding a way that's going to let them grow in a very slow but steady pace. And they don't need to have that sudden giant acquisition come in and try to make them, a big competitor. Hopefully they don't have their sort of Stadia moment.
Yes, exactly. This is the absolute antithesis to Stadia, where it's just, we are going to tell people that we matter and that we're the next biggest thing. And how are we going to back that up? Cricket noises. Like, it's like, okay.
Noises. We're gonna show them the Power Glove and a Dreamcast and something together at GDC.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, so then if you were trying to slowly but steadily build something, how would you go about it? And it's like, well, I mean, maybe I would make some different decisions than what Netflix has been making, but I don't think I think all the decisions they made would be like things I would consider at the very least. So it's like, this seems like a good plan, and working with studios like Super Evil Megacorp is a good move. All right, finally, 2 games are launching day one on Xbox Game Pass next week. This comes from Francis Kenna at DualShockers. 2 games are launching on Xbox Game Pass next week, with the first being the previously announced MLB The Show 23, with the rhythm game RPG hybrid Infinite Guitars also being added alongside it. MLB The Show 23 was previously announced and marks the 3rd consecutive entry to launch day 1 on Xbox Game Pass from the long-running baseball game franchise, despite being published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Infinite Guitars, meanwhile, is a melding of rhythm game and RPG elements, rounded off with an anime-inspired aesthetic and a completely original soundtrack. The described RPG elements come from exploration, new gear, and upgrade system, and combat that blends both turn-based and real-time action. Infinite Guitars looks pretty cool. I'll bring up a trailer here in a second, but Mike, I mostly want to get your take on what's the state of day 1 Game Pass launches in your opinion?
Not bad. What was obviously Hi-Fi Rush was a big one that we all played a lot of, and there was something else that was a relatively recent Xbox day 1 thing that I played, and now
I'm also struggling to remember it.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it, but yeah, I didn't know about this this rhythm RPG kind of game here. I'm looking at it now. That seems like something I will want to check out. It's got a cute looking art style. Well Long is it?
Yeah, there you go.
Well Long's a game I probably not have tried at all. Instead, I played a bit of it and had some fun. Probably played about as much of it as I needed to, but still got to play it and have fun. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and Minecraft Legends, obviously the last case of Benedict Fox. These are other ones that are coming, but yeah.
This is great with MLB The Show because I like those games. I like baseball a lot. It's hard to justify buying a new one of those every year. But, this time of year when baseball is about to start, we're in spring training now. The regular season is going to be starting soon. It is like easy and exciting for me to go and play it for a few days, check out the new game, see what's different, play a few games, maybe start a new career mode, what have you. Like that's how I want to engage with that series. Now, I don't want to be buying box copies for $60
every year. Yeah, especially every year. Maybe every couple of years. But I mean, to me, sports games continue to be the thing that makes so much sense for Game Pass.
Yes.
MLB The Show is the one they've been able to get. They get like eventually like Madden and stuff like that always ends up in Game Pass, but it's always close to the end of the season, stuff like that, or maybe even after the season. And it's like, well, at that point, but if it's like day 1 on Game Pass, a big sports game, you have that, and then if you close the Call of Duty deal, it's like that is a prime audience, that massive blob of Call of Duty people, sports games people, and they're like, you just tell them, yeah, just subscribe, and you'll just get it. All those games are just going to show up. I think that's a very convincing and still a strategy that they know could work. It's just a matter of getting those deals to work. Obviously, the MLB showed up and was like, yeah, well, man, we don't care. Forget about Sony. We're trying to make more money. Yeah, give us that check. But 2K, Take-Two with the 2K games and EA with the EA Sports games. I mean, Microsoft has a good relationship with EA Sports, and it's like even then, it's like doesn't seem like that deal is close to happening. So we'll see. But for now, MLB The Show 23 is continues to be like one of the big things every year for Game Pass, and it doesn't look like they're going to break that streak anytime soon.
We're going to go to some Guardians games this spring and summer, Jeff. We're going to get time.
That and also the minor league team that's near my town.
Oh, that's right. There's like a minor league team right next.
I think it's like a single A. Yeah, we should just totally hit that up.
Walk there.
Yes, I would love that. All right, let's see here. I have a poll question from Monday. Let me bring that up. Which game do you want from Next Level Games, or which game do you want Next Level Games to work on next? My typo. F-Zero got 43.7% of the response. Punch-Out got just 18.4%. And Something New got 37.9%. Mike, what's your take?
I mean, look, if you ask me which of these games I want the most, probably an F-Zero.
Sure.
Again, I don't know if I need Next Level to work on that. They're a very good studio that can do just about anything, especially if it's a remaster of GX like we're hearing. I don't know why you have to have Next Level do that. Now they'll do a great job with it, so that's exciting. But it's hard because I also want Punch-Out. Obviously, those are 2 franchises we haven't heard from in a while. Oddly, we've gotten a Punch-Out more recently than an F-Zero,
yes,
which doesn't seem right when you say it. Something new is always risky. I know I'm supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be like, we need more new things. I'm tired of all these franchises. But, maybe sometimes something new is like that Project Steam or whatever, where you had the robot Abraham Lincoln on the DS and no one cared about it. So
yeah,
I guess I wouldn't be most excited to see a new F-Zero game, but again, do I need Next Level on it? Maybe.
All right, I'm gonna come up with a new poll question. In the meantime, though, Mike, why don't you tell people where they can find you, what you got going on, things like that?
Yeah, GamesBeat is where I am the managing editor. Please check out our stories. We got a couple of our staff at GDC all week, so they are busy working there and producing that fat content, baby. Jeff and I will be doing Game Mess Decides tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern on our channel, the Game Mess channel. We got some games we're going to be playing, right, Jeff? I think we're doing a Mount Rushmore of remakes.
Yes,
We're doing another round of Who Wants to Be a Mikey in there.
Yes, so we're gonna do Who Wants to Be Mikey in there, and again, if you win, I'm taking you to Margaritaville. So
You want to go to Margaritaville?
so we've played a couple times before. You've gotten close. You haven't won yet, but if you win, that's just straight up happening. My treat, and that's your reward. And then yes, the Mount Rushmore will be the Mount Rushmore of remakes, and we'll probably have like the remaster discussion and like where all that stuff lands. But yes, that's the idea. I'm looking forward to it. I'm having a lot of fun with doing like the Mikey Nair game and doing obviously the drafts have been a ton of fun. But I like doing the Mount Rushmores as well. So tune in for that.
Yeah, look, you got a cake there. The disgusting, gross
Hey,
cake. Look at it,
thank you so much.
And I see excess of frosting.
I see that birthday wishes up there. Thanks, Jan. I really appreciate that. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna try to hash this out right now and see if I can write up this poll question. What is the state well, how are you feeling about day one Game Pass releases in 2023? Mike, help me come up with the responses here. It'll be like, they are great, they are good, but could well.
I think you're making it too complicated. I would just say great,
Yes, thank you.
good, meh, bad.
Okay, perfect. That's
Also
exactly.
capitalize that H in the beginning of that sentence.
Yes, I'm going to. Great,
You better.
good, meh.
Meh. People say meh anymore.
I saw it the other day. I liked it when it was feh with an F. Feh.
Was that feh?
Feh. I like
Meh.
that. That's good. Game mess mornings.
Rachel here says my editor is showing. Yeah, she's not wrong.
I was reading Rachel's story. This is my birthday gift to myself, just haranguing you. I read Rachel's story this morning, Mike, and one of the words should have been hyphenated, and you didn't hyphenate it when you edited the story. So, editor prison for you. Oh man, that sucks.
I'm not coming to your birthday anymore.
All right, that's up on Twitter now. Please feel free to respond. We will talk about it on Giant Bomb tomorrow. Speaking of Giant Bomb, I will be playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out for Grubb or Lang's Punch Out here in a few hours, like 1 hour. Look out for that in about an hour. I'll be doing that. I'm really close to getting a run together. I just really got to be able to beat Tyson there at the end. And but that's where I'm at. Like, it's just I'm at the very end of the game, and if I get a run done, the run is I could submit it, and that'll be a speed run. And then tomorrow it'll be Blight Club. I'm very excited, Mike. Just get back in there and watch him suffer. Do you think there's a chance he could be? Probably not. We're probably not going to beat the Shadow campaign tomorrow, right?
It's hard to say. If there's not a lot of Soliana segments, maybe. You know how Dan gets distracted though in those.
Totally, yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. And then UPF, we're gonna do a unprofessional birthday stream, so look out for all that. But in the meantime, though, I just want to say thank you to Mike for the birthday wishes, for hanging out with me on my birthday and talking about video games, man.
It's good. I didn't know I was gonna get a festive hat.
Yeah, look at that. This is good stuff.
Yeah, this is a plus. I like it.
Are these
smaller, but I won't complain.
Jan, are you going to PNG websites and then like they have to, and they're just not working as PNGs? Because honestly, no, don't ever use a PNG. Make them all JPEGs with the weird background. This is how I prefer it.
This is how we like it.
This is how I celebrate at 40. All right, and everybody, thank you for watching. You're the best audience.
Actual PNGs are the new PNGs. That's right. They're all lies. They're all just like web
Ps.
files or whatever.
Disgusting.
With like a fake checkerboard to trick us. Everyone.
When I was a young man, WebP meant something very different. You're the best audience in gaming.
No, I'm not done interfering yet. Satan's real busy making that new circle of hell for the people who do this sort of thing.
Absolutely. They must be punished. And I think they will be.
You do the outro already? God, I want to get out of here. I have a real job.
Really do hate
I can't
this,
just hang out with you all day.
I really do hate you. Thanks, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself and fuck Mike Minotti.
Fuck me.